What's good, Internet? Jake here, Jake as ever, with a toy review, another toy review, it's been a while, of Masters of the Universe movie Core Wave 1, which is He-Man, Teela, and Beast-Man. Now, this toy line differs from the other ones in that it seemingly is created mainly for the movie. We don't know if it's going to continue after the movie's over. I kind of hope it does, but if it doesn't, you know, that's the way it goes usually. Now, Wave 1 consists of these three characters, while Wave 2 is Mechanic, Skelenite, and Skeletor. We're going to talk about these guys, and we're also going to be discussing the Battle Cat toy. In addition to these figures, there's also the Origins figures, which are more like classic He-Man toys, and we also have the Chronicles figures, which are way more articulated, more like a Marvel Legends sort of deal. But with all that being said, let's take a look at the packaging, which I really like. It's really popping to me, like the orange and purple colors are really standing out. I love the new logo for the movie. Each packaging has a picture of the character, their name, as well as their subtitles. So He-Man is the most powerful man in the universe, just like the original toys. We can see the toy in here nicely secured. And on the back here, we have product shots of Beast-Man, Teela, and He-Man, as well as a write-up for He-Man. These used to be super common back in the day, but now not so much, so it's really cool to see like a stat chart. He's not good with tech, but he's really strong, he's really good at combat. Only a 6 on the intelligence scale, but that's fair. So on the heroic packaging, they have red highlights here. In the back of the box shows Castle Grayskull, but on the villains packaging, it's more purple and blue, and it shows Snake Mountain on the back, which is really, really cool. So we've got Beastman here. Here are his stats. Savage Henchman. And then we, of course, have Teela, who is the heroic warrior goddess. Battle Cat's packaging is a lot more akin to something like the Jurassic World line, which Mattel also does. So it's likely they just sort of took that packaging scheme and applied it here. You get awesome art of He-Man riding Battle Cat, Battle Cat's name, Fighting Tiger. It says try me, and you can try it. If you press it, it'll make him headbang. And it also makes his mouth open. It is supposed to make noise as well, but I think I need to put in batteries or, I don't know, something. And then we have another piece of art here. This is actually a product shot of the toy with He-Man riding it. And it's got a write-up on Battle Cat. And then we've got the Press and Chomp and Roar, and then Wave 1 of the core figures. I didn't really think this guy would make good for a whole video by himself, so that's why we're including him in the Wave 1 video. Alright, with all that being said, let's get these figures opened and reviewed. Now, you might be saying to yourself, Jake, why are you getting these kids' toys? You know, they have the collector grade figures here, which look immaculate. Or even, why don't you get the Masters of the Universe Origins version, which would match the older designs of the toys? Well, there's no fancy answer besides I'm cheap. These figures cost $27, at least in my area. And these tend to cost like $15 to $20 these days. These figures are a mere $10. And I gotta say, the sculpting and articulation you get, plus the accessories, it's really worth it to me for $10. And this is gonna be random, but it actually reminds me a lot of Mattel's Minecraft movie line. If you'll remember correctly, these were about $8 or $9, 3 3/4 inch figures with really decent articulation and sculpting. Now, I was impressed by that price for these figures, which are significantly smaller, and I'm assuming because Mattel owns He-Man, they didn't have to pay any licensing fees or anything like that, so we get bigger figures that look even better for about the same price. One of my biggest issues with modern day toy collecting is just how incredibly stupidly expensive it is. So when I see an awesome toy line for a great price, I'm all over it. And yeah, this guy only costs $10, and I feel like that's kind of the perfect price for him. Now let's take a closer look at him. I think the head sculpt, the face sculpt, I mean, I feel like that looks a lot like the actor from the movie. I'm not the best with faces, but it does look like that guy to me. He's got nice flowing hair, Lots of sculpted detail. His harness, it has pegs, so I think it can come off, but I don't want to take it off because I'm afraid it might be hard to get back on. And if I take it off, we're just gonna see, you know, He-Man's chest. We know what that looks like, right? He also has his belt and skirt piece, which I don't think is super new to He-Man. I think he's had sort of this look before, but the OG He-Man kind of just had the fur underwear, which this guy does have, actually. He has even the accurate belt to the original toy. So that's kind of an interesting little detail under there. Here's a closer look at the belt and skirt. And it does look like there's a little bit of sculpted detail here, like some sort of symbol going on. Nice detail here. Painted on a little bit sloppily, like you can see the silver here. There's definitely like edges that are not filled in. Then we have his boots at the bottom here, which look good. Yeah, I think the sculpting looks really awesome. He does come with the power sword, of course, which looks really nice. Feels good, doesn't feel rubbery at all. Even the sword itself is not really, it's like slightly curved, but really not bad at all, which is nice to see. Would have liked some paint here, but yeah. And you can put it in his hand as you've seen, or he has his holster for it, or whatever, a sheath for it. It doesn't really plug in, it just kind of sits there, but it works. And yeah, he looks pretty cool with it on his back. I wonder if he can reach. So you definitely can get kind of a pose of him pulling it, drawing it out. Not exactly. Now let's talk articulation. That is the one place where this guy might be worse than the other figures. Though I think he's probably mostly on par with an Origins figure. But his head rotates 360. Doesn't really look down too much, and doesn't really look up too much due to his hair and chin. So that's unfortunate. He does have a waist joint. It's pretty tight. I didn't think he did at first, but it's there, and it is a bit tight, but he's got a waist joint, which is cool. His arm can go all the way around, and then can go out. He's got an elbow bend, and also a swivel, and then his hands can rotate, and they have a wrist joint right here that can go in and out. What's cool is that on this arm, his wrist joint is actually meant to go up and down. So you can do the I have the power pose very easily, because it's literally engineered so his hand can, you know, move that way, so he's still tilting the sword upward. That's really, really cool. Yeah, that's just awesome that he can do that so easily. His legs can go out that far, which in relation to his actual crotch, it can go out that far, front that far. Not really back at all because his butt's in the way. Honestly, I feel like since he has a skirt, they could have just cut that part out and, you know, it wouldn't have been a big deal. Would have given him more articulation. His knee can bend and it can rotate all the way around. No ankle joint, sadly. That's probably the worst part about this figure, is that there's no ankle tilt or anything. But yeah, awesome He-Man movie figure. I think he looks great. Alright, and here we have Teela, who definitely has a newer look in relation to her classic look. She's kind of wearing like a, you know, onesie that vaguely looks similar to this, but they definitely updated her, gave her some pants, well-deserved pants in the modern day. But the colors are pretty cool. It's got like this nice metallic gold paint, and then her like white parts of her costume are kind of like pearlescent almost. I don't know how to describe it. It looks like it should be translucent, but it isn't. Looking at the head sculpt here, I think this is probably close. I don't know. I don't really remember what she looks like, but yeah, I mean, I think it probably captures the gist of her face. Her hair is made of like more rubbery plastic than He-Man's, so she can look down much further like that, and then she can't really look up though, and her head is kind of at a tilt. She looks fairly straight, I guess, but I feel like her head would be inclined to tilt down more than anything. Okay, so here's a closer look at her costume. It's got all this like detailing on it which kind of looks like scales or something, like an alligator, though I think it's more meant to represent like a snake, because her original costume had this like giant snake head that she would wear. She's also got some arm braces with some unpainted like little chains or clasps on them. She's got a holster and straps and stuff wrapping around her, and she's got her red boots. So overall, pretty cool. Not as an exciting design as He-Man, obviously, but I think she looks fairly neat. She does come with a laser gun here, and her hand is specifically sculpted to hold the laser gun with the one finger out. To put in the trigger hole. Here's a gun. It kind of looks like a laser revolver or something like that. And then she's got her own sword here that's gold, which looks pretty cool. Now let's take a look at articulation for Teela. Her head can go all the way around, and like I said, it can't really go up, but it can go down. Her arms rotate 360. Elbows, just a single bend, but it can also swivel. Her hand has an in and out joint, though it's really tight. There we go. But it can go in and out like that. Interestingly, this hand also has the He-Man like up and down instead of the in and out. So I'm wondering if every character has that up and down so they can all hold the sword or something, which would be kind of interesting, but you can make her hold her gun up a little bit like that. She does have a waist, and they did a pretty good job hiding the seam line. It's not very noticeable, but she does have a waist and can go 360. The gun does fall out a little bit easily. Her leg can go this much forward, this much out. Can't really go back at all. And then she's got a single knee bend here that can swivel, so no ankle tilt here either. Overall, yeah, she basically has the exact same articulation as He-Man. And speaking of He-Man, let's put them next to each other. Alright, here they are together. I think He-Man and her look appropriately sized. You know, I think He-Man should be a bit taller and beefier than Teela in general. Overall, a good figure, though I will say I think they missed a chance to add a holster here. It's obviously sculpted. I don't know why they wouldn't just add it. You know, it'd be like a pocket of plastic and you could put the blaster here so she wouldn't have to hold it all the time. Especially considering she has 2 accessories, which is nice. I'm glad they gave her 2 accessories, but, you know, a holster would have been really cool. Alright, and finally for Core Wave 1, we have Beast Man, who, yeah, true to his name, is a beast compared to the other 2, and we'll do the size comparisons here in a second, but he definitely has a lot more plastic than those other 2. The sculpted detail looks amazing. I love his face. I mean, look at that paint. There's blue there, and then his gums are painted, and the inside of his mouth, or maybe the inside of his mouth isn't painted, but it's just the same color as the outside. It does look like his face wasn't painted all the way. I think it's supposed to be white like up to here, but I could be wrong. You can see his pointy elf ears right here. He's got spikes all over his pelt. He's got a little medallion here, which is nicely painted. It's got some arm spikes and then some bracers. Nice sculpted detail all over his body. He's got this blue loincloth, and you can lift it up and see another loincloth. Nicely sculpted legs here. Big old spikes on his legs. These are, they won't hurt, but they're surprisingly pointy. And then we've got his beast toes out. I love this little detail on the back that he has like this little bag here. I don't know what he would keep in there, but that's kind of cool. You can actually take his vest off. It's easier than He-Man, so I'm willing to do it. Unlatch these little things right here. You pop his head off, obviously. I didn't even mention doing that. And then you can take it off, and you can see his body. And then his loincloth also has a similar little button thing. So you could take all that off and you can do whatever you want with it, customize it, something like that. He does come with his whip accessory, which I've always enjoyed the irony of a beast man using a whip as a weapon. It's the type of thing that circuses use to keep beasts in line, so, you know, kind of funny. But it looks good. It's a rubbery... Oh. But it looks good. It's a kind of rubbery plastic. It's not pliable, or you can't, like, pose it, but, you know, it looks like a whip. It is a whip, so that works. For articulation, his head can look side to side pretty much. It's stopped by these little horns. His arms can go up that much, rotate all the way around. Very tight joints. His elbows can go up and down. They can also... Let me get the whip out of his hand. They can also rotate. He's got wrist joints that go in and out on this arm and up and down on this hand. So they all have that, which is pretty interesting. He does have a waist joint. His legs can go out that much. Can't really go back because of his butt, and they can go forward that much. And then his knee can swivel, and he has a bend. So yeah, pretty standardized articulation going on here with the rest of them. But he looks really cool. He is a very formidable looking foe. I'm very much looking forward to seeing him in the movie because I think he's going to be pretty big. There's one shot where he like jumps on top of a car, and I think that looks awesome. I think he's going to track Adam into Earth and try and, you know, capture him or whatever. So let's do a little bit of size comparing. So here he is next to He-Man and Teela, and he's actually a bit shorter than He-Man, surprisingly. Though he's just got so much more mass, like all of his limbs are bigger, his body is bigger, he's just a bit hunched over, really. It does look like He-Man is just a hair taller, or like at the point of his spike. Teela is a little bit shorter than him, which again makes sense. I think he's probably not accurately sized in terms of the movie. I feel like he'll be probably bigger than He-Man in the movie. But I think in terms of this toy line, I feel like this is fine. This works for me. You know, Beastman has never been giant compared to He-Man, so, you know, in terms of toys, I'm completely fine with this scale. Okay, so this is how Battle Cat comes right out of the package. So this is the little thing that will activate his noises. So once we take that out... Alright, so he gets some tiger noises, and then we need to plug in his tail. Yeah. It's actually more difficult than I was expecting. There we go. So, here we are with the Battle Cat. Ooh, okay. So, the immediate issue here for me is getting him to stand. Oh, it's interesting. So, his paws have articulation here. Can we get him to stand? That's the question. Yeah. Yeah, he can stand just fine, seems. Though he seems a bit lopsided or something, like... like, not all his feet are equally touching. Okay, I think that's better. Yeah, so here we are at Battle Cat. This is the core line Battle Cat, so it's not as big as the Chronicles one, and it doesn't have, like, the removable armor and all that. The armor stays on, it's glued on, his helmet's glued on, and his head is stuck in this one position unless you press this little spike, in which it'll go like this. Here's the speaker. So let's just take a look at all these details. So here is his face. You can see his painted eyes here. His teeth are nicely painted, as well as his gums and mouth. The mask is looking cool here. I feel like they didn't really change all too much with his battle armor. It looks very, very classic He-Man to me. I mean, I think the mask is a bit different, a bit more streamlined looking, but really not all too different here. We have his saddle, which has really cool spikes. Obviously that one decompresses to do the head movement. We've got the seat here, and then a whole bunch of like sculpted in patterns. Looks like flowers or something like that. Very cool. Got this part. I feel like they could have painted some of this. Like this could be painted. This guy was like $25, I want to say, or something like that. So I feel like they could have painted these like minor pieces. Like this could have been silver, and these straps could be black or something. And then we've got his tail at the end here, and we could take a look at his legs, which have all this nice sculpted fur detail, as well as his little orange patterns in his fur. Looks really, really nice. So I guess it'll just make a noise when you press it, and then you can spam. So like I pressed it like 7 times right there, and I heard like 3 noises. So I think that's kind of how it works. If you look at the bottom here, he has little toe beans on all his feet, which is very cute. So I think it's been enough time on just Battle Cat himself. We gotta go ahead and grab our He-Man. Let's sit him down on Battle Cat. Alright, and there we go. Here he is on Battle Cat, looking awesome. Honestly, for about $30, $35, this is a mighty fine display piece if you're not trying to collect for the movie. You just want something cool that kind of represents it. This is awesome. I think, you know, he's not really plugged in at all, so you can't shake him off, but besides that, I think it accomplishes exactly what it needs to do. It is He-Man on a freaking giant tiger, giant green tiger. Let's kind of stand him next to Battle Cat, see how they stand together. Battle Cat's about the same height as him, but obviously he's much, much bigger. Pretty cool. I hope it's similar size comparison in the movie, because we haven't, I can't remember, but I don't think we've seen Battle Cat fully kitted out in the movie. I think we've only seen Cringer. And then we also have Teela and Beastman. Here they are next to Battle Cat. And yeah, that is a mighty fine set of toys. I really dig these figures. I think this line is awesome. I'm excited to collect some more. I actually do have some more already that I'm going to be doing in another video. This is the Masters of the Universe 4-pack. So it's got a slightly different He-Man, a slightly different Skeletor from Wave 2, a slightly different Man-at-Arms from Wave 3, and an exclusive Goatman figure. So yeah, I'm going to be reviewing this as well in a future video. Probably should come out, you know, a day later, or yeah, something like that. So watch out for that, like and subscribe if you're interested in Masters of the Universe toys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao.